country,
Test,
and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore. Well, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on. Yeah, it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore. You know somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on. You know that it's gone on. Said it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our country, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting our country, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our brother, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I said that it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting our brothers, and it's gone on, but we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. You know that it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore.
Come on, if you got a little energy, let's stand up and put our hands together with this movement time. This is Moral March on Manchin. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on. Well, it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on.
I said somebody's hurting our brother, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore.
One more time.
Somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on. You know that it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. I said somebody's hurting our people, and it's gone on, and we won't be silent anymore.
Everybody say Moral Monday, March on Manchin. You may be seated, those of you that aren't holding signs, and thank those of you that are. My name is Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, President of Repairs of the Breach and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, along with Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris, who's here to my left. And we accepted an invitation. We want everybody to come in. Bring everybody in. We've got national media here because we said it's time for them to hear from West Virginia. And I want to lay out a foundation, and then we're going to call up speakers. First from the state, we ask everybody to pay attention. When they're speaking, give applause, but when they're, if you agree, but let's not talk while they're speaking, because if you want to be heard, we got to respect each other. Is that right? Why are we here today? The question is to ask the question that miners asked in the 1920s. Simple question, song they wrote about it. It was, which side are you on? And that's the question for Joe Manchin. Which side on your own? And we want to be clear about who West Virginians are and what West Virginians want. Today we are black, we are white, we are from the hood and from the hollers We are coal miners and poor people and low-wage workers and preachers and native people. We are Latinos. We are West Virginia. And we want Joe Manchin to understand that when you argue against ending a filibuster and you claim you want bipartisan bills, but even if the bill was 50 Democrats and 9 Republicans, you still wouldn't support it. And if you are against the Voting Rights Act and restoring it, and if you are for blocking the For the People Act to stop the tyranny that's happening in state capitals by extremists that have taken over the Republican Party, then you are not on the side of West Virginians. 81% of Democrats in West Virginia want to see the For the People Act passed. They want to see the Voting Rights Act recovered and restored. 76% of Republicans, over 70% of independents. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? I'm here because my granddaddy was from West Virginia. And my granddaddy was a Republican in the days that black people were Lincoln Republicans and Teddy Roosevelt Republicans. But when the Republicans ran the country into the ground with the Great Depression, he became a Franklin Delano Roosevelt Democrat. I'm here because I got roots here. But I'm here because West Virginians asked us, Pam and Jean with the Poor People's Campaign, could we come and bring the media to West Virginia? I'm here because we believe that change doesn't happen from D.C. down. It happens from Charleston and Montgomery and Birmingham and Greensboro up. I'm here because we need a fusion coalition. We need to change the conversation. We need to understand that when you attack voting rights, it's not just a black issue. Race is a part of it, but so is class. And when you attack the Voting Rights Act and attack voting rights and you suppress the vote, you begin to suppress two things that poor and low wealth people have to have in a democracy. Number one, they have to be able to vote. Otherwise, the money rules everything. And they have to have wages that give them a living wage. And Joe Manchin is standing against both of them. Which side are you on? What is happening now is threatening our democracy. What extremists are doing in state legislatures are hurting all of us. And we must decide, now is the time for us to fight for the promises of this democracy. And we must say, not on our watch, not now, not ever. There is no such thing as being moderate when it comes to protecting voting rights and lifting the poor and lifting low-wealth people and providing health care and providing living wages. Senator Manchin, what you are saying, this is what you're saying, Senator Manchin, when you are against the For the People Act, you are saying that you're against curbing voter suppression. You're saying you're against making it easier for all Americans to register and vote and cast a ballot. You are saying you are against outlawing political gerrymandering. And you are saying that you are against overhauling our campaign finance laws so that the voices of ordinary people can be amplified and the voices of corrupt corporations and the ruling elite class can be lessened. When you are against voting for the Voting Rights Act, even if you only have 59 votes and you'd rather have a filibuster than a restored Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, then what you're saying is you are against stopping state legislatures from passing bills that are race-based and class-based without them being pre-cleared. Voting rights is not an issue only of race. And I want to challenge all of us in this country. The Republicans actually want a black-white fight. That's all they want to make folk think that's all it is. But voting rights is as much an issue for my poor white brothers in the hollers of West Virginia as it is for my brothers that are black in the hood, as it is for my indigenous native brothers on the reservation, as it is for my Latino brothers and my Asian brothers and sisters. And especially here. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? Because in West Virginia, 700,000 people are poor and low wealth. Which side are you on? In West Virginia, 355,000 people make less than $15 an hour. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? In West Virginia, 46.7% of the census tracts can't even afford water. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? Because West Virginia needs free and unabridged voting. West Virginia needs a $15 living wage. West Virginia needs health care for everybody. West Virginia needs infrastructure. In fact, West Virginia needs a real senator that doesn't just talk about it. And then, Joe Manchin, I love you, my brother. But you claim to be such a person of faith, and you put your hand on the Bible and swore to uphold what's in the Constitution. I wish you would have read the Bible before you did that. So since you didn't, let me tell you that in Isaiah 1:10, chapter 1, it says, woe unto those politicians who make unjust laws and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. Jesus said in Matthew 23, he said, woe unto those that pay attention to all the little details, but you leave undone the weightier matters of the law, which is justice and fairness and love. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin, you say you're against closing the filibuster. And you say you want to preserve it because Senator Byrd taught you that. Well, first of all, when Senator Byrd used the filibuster in the 60s, he repented of that because he was on the wrong side of the law and history. And then Senator Byrd wrote that he didn't agree with this kind of filibuster now, where you have these coward politicians. They won't go to the floor like they used to. They won't argue all night and pull out the cots. No, they just want to say, well, you don't have 60 votes. And Senator Byrd was against that. He said that kind of filibuster damaged the democracy. In fact, let me tell you what he said, since you want to quote him, Senator Manchin. He said the challenges before our nation are far too grave and too numerous for the Senate to be rendered impotent to address them. Then Senator Byrd said a true filibuster is a fight, not a bluff. He said you have to have extended time on the floor. You got to have strength. You have to have arguments. You have to have stamina. But what we have today is the coward politician using a so-called filibuster to keep the nation from moving forward. And we must say, not on our watch. This ain't no filibuster. This is what Dr. King called interposition and nullification. That's what it is. This is those who would rather serve the U.S. Chamber of Commerce than serve the people of West Virginia. This is those who would rather serve the welfare of this nation than care about the poor and low working wage people of every race, creed, and color. And so I'm here today because I believe West Virginia has some good news for the nation. I believe you mess around and wake up a mountaineer, you got hell on your hands. I believe West Virginians are tired now. Tired of him standing before national cameras saying he's doing this because this is what y'all want. That's what he said. Well, you got the national media here today. I want you to tell them the truth. Because your own motto says what? Mountaineers are what? Well, why is he locked down by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce? Why is he locked down by the Koch brothers? That's the question. Is he really being a mountaineer? Is he really acting like a West Virginia progressive? I heard about West Virginia. Back in the 1920s and 30s, West Virginia took on the bosses. Didn't they do it? Somebody tell me. My granddaddy was a coal miner. He stood beside other white coal miners that took on those that would take their wages. And so it's time to shine a light on the nation. It's time to say it, and that's why I want to announce today, we put out a letter, and over 1,000 clergy have already signed it against what Manchin is doing. On June 21st, we're having a mass Poor People's and Low-Wage Workers Assembly moral march on Washington virtually. And West Virginia will be speaking, and we're launching 365 days towards a mass Poor People's Assembly, Low-Wage Workers Assembly, and moral march on D.C. in 2022. And I know West Virginia will be there. And on June the 23rd, I need to know how many of you all, if we put the buses up, will go to D.C. and march on the Russell Building on June 23rd. Manchin ought to meet with you. Not people talking for you, but you yourself. Not only that, we think it's time to write Coach Sabian of Alabama and Jerry West, because they endorsed him and said he loves and works for the people of West Virginia. Well, we need to tell him, you know, he's not listening to your endorsement. And how are you going to go into houses of poor black families and poor white families and recruit them to play on a football team while you're supporting a senator that's trying to take wages, block wages and voting rights from those same poor families? Come on, talk to me, somebody. And so as I take the leave of this podium and call on the first speaker, just know this, nation. We ain't in this heat to play. Am I right about it? We're not in these streets to play. We are here to bring street heat and moral heat to the legislative processes. The voices of the people in West Virginia will be heard. We are nonviolent, but we ain't playing. We will fight for the soul of this democracy because wages are at stake, infrastructure is at stake, voting rights are at stake, and we will fight for this democracy. Which side are you on, Joe Manchin? Which side are you on? Because if you're not on the side of truth and on the side of justice and on the side of living wages and on the side of health care and on the side of infrastructure and on the side of voting rights, you just picked the wrong fight with the wrong people, because we're going to fight till hell freezes over and then fight on the ice. Now let's hear from West Virginia, Pam Garrison, coming to the mic. Come on, Pam.
Thank you, everyone. I'm tri-chair of the West Virginia Poor People's Campaign. We invited Reverend Barber, Reverend Liz, our Poor People Campaign brothers and sisters, all of our West Virginians and the nation, to join us to dispute the lies, the propaganda, the conspiracy theories that has been played on our people. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We've got morals. And this is how we want our country ran. We have heard Senator Manchin and Senator Capito, and we figured out their strategy, people. This ain't a policy. This is a strategy being played on us. And the American people has been played for gullible fools we have. And it's time that we woke up. And it's time we woke our fellow Americans up before it's too late. Before our democracy's gone and all we've got's a shell of a democracy only in a name. We've got what authoritarian democracies has got. Is that what we're going to leave our kids and our grandkids? This is their strategy, people. I heard it out of their own mouths. We're complicit. We're content. We're happy to have low wages and be in poverty. Oh, we're just thrilled to death. That we don't want democracy, that we're asleep. I've heard of this sleeping giant, people. It's time we woke this sleeping giant up. Now, we've heard their side. I've brought everybody here to hear our side. We're not going to be silent anymore. I've wrote a speech out But then the Spirit usually gets me, and I usually go right off of it and go right where the Lord wants me to go. So y'all just have to bear with me here for a minute. Okay, we've heard the bipartisanship, and that's fine when there's really people that are wanting to accomplish something. Not just one side block it all and the other side say, well, that's okay. Ain't nothing we can do about it. You know, well, if they'd read the Poor People's Campaign's Third Reconstruction, we got all kinds of solutions in there for these problems. That's right. So we presented it to them. Every one of our representatives here in West Virginia told us no. We're not going to consider policies for the poor, the underprivileged, the underprivileged, the suffering, our vets. No, we're not going to think about them before we make a policy decision. And that's all our resolution was asking them, was to have our policies made with morals, that's right, dignity, that's right, democracy, that's right, the common good for the people, not red, not blue. We are red, white, and blue. And this is red, white, and blue issues. Here at the Poor People's Campaign, we are an army of poor, low-waged, high-moral people. And we want you to join us because we need every American to fight this tyranny we're seeing. If we want to hold our democracy, people, it's going to take us all. It's going to join us.
That's right.
Join us. Join some good group trying to get somewhere and move us forward, not staying in the same old falling down infrastructure that we've got and being told there's nothing we can do about it.
That's right.
But we watch third world countries have the biggest modernist day infrastructure there is. Wonder how they do it. That's right. That's right. The Poor People's Campaign, we are an unsettling force, a new unsettling force. And all we have to hold us is our chains. So people, I want to ask you, are you ready to lose the chains?
Yeah.
Are you ready to lose the chains, West Virginia? Let America know what our senator says is not true. These chains are coming off. If we've got, like the Reverend Barber said, if we've got to fight to the bitter end, we are here for it. West Virginia mountaineers are always free, and we're going to stay that way.
Yeah! Say the chains have come off, and the truth must come out. I want Gene Evansmore to come now, who's our other tri-chair, to talk to us from West Virginia.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. Good evening, everybody. It is so good to see you here. It is so good. I'm Gene Evansmore. I was born, raised, and I came back here to West Virginia, my home. I joined the Poor People's Campaign about 2 years ago because I like facts. I like the truth. And Uncle told a lie on me when I was 16 years old, and that became my number one value. And I turned 80 last year. It still is. Manchin has been lying and lying and lying. See, Pam, I depend on Pam because that woman watches and knows what the heck is going on with politics. She knows the facts, so I like following her, okay? Pam, I can listen to her. We are now at a point that we must shed more light on the lies that Senator Manchin is telling and speak up for those here in West Virginia, and there are some of them who are not yet strong enough to stand up. They're not strong enough to stand up, so we're going to stand up and holler and raise hell for them. No problem. Polls show that West Virginians support the Biden proposals. The numbers are up. The blatant racism that Belinda Beaufort, Manchin's cousin, who is the West Virginia Democratic Party chairwoman, and her cronies exhibited last week, and and the federal unemployment supplement that governor is stopping this weekend are all part of the same big load of crap that we're getting here in West Virginia, okay? They're not going to run me out of West Virginia. I said I'm not moving anymore. That's it. I'm staying right here. This is the poorest state in the nation. You do understand that we may be number 2, but we're close to the bottom, okay? It must be exposed. By the way, I understand Manchin was riding around in his Porsche in this area earlier today, and Martise was going to tell you all about that, I'm sure, okay? That's what he was doing.
Wow.
Manchin is a liar, and we have to expose that. We have to let National, thank you, Reverend Barbara, and National, letting people know what is the truth. This is not the truth. Manchin's building, you're wondering why we're down here. I've had suggestions from people as to how this ought to be done. Okay? I know to shut up and just listen to people who have experience, not whatever somebody else may think. Manchin's office is in the 6th floor of the lottery building on a one-way street, Pennsylvania Avenue, and the Highway 64 goes over it. On another side is a hospital, and you guess what? You cannot have speakers down there. You cannot have speakers down there. All you have is that sidewalk, and that is exactly why we are here. But we are doing it. We're going to talk, and then we are going to get out there, and we are going to march down. We're going to march to his office to let him know we are not quitting. We're not giving up. We're in for the fight. All right.
That's right.
Thank you. We are here. I call this simply, we are taking the sheet off Senator Manchin.
Say, we are here. When we go to Manchin's office, like Martin Luther in the 15th, 16th century, we're going to tack this letter on his door. They wouldn't even let us have sound and stage down there. They thought if we did that, you all wouldn't come out. But look at you. Look at you. Now, I'm going to call these next speakers, and you see this lady sitting right down here with the collar. Now, she might look like she's a nice reverend. But when she says rap, those are our co-chairs. We need everybody to rap because we got a march time, all right? Can we do that for each other? All right, Zachary Shrewsbury, a veteran. Richard Ojeda is going to come. And then Reverend Roberta Smith. Those 3 in that order. They're 3 minutes. Watch this lady.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Zach Shrewsbury. I'm a native West Virginian. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. And I'm a proud organizer of Common Defense. We're the nation's largest organization of progressive veterans. I want to thank all the organizers and the entire Poor People's Campaign today for having me here. I'm beyond honored. This is such an important moment in our nation's history because right now, our democracy is under attack. Now, I grew up in southern West Virginia. I joined the Marine Corps at 19, saw a good portion of the world. Once my contract was served, I began a journey in organizing against injustice and corruption in this nation. And I know the current political system is rigged against everyday people like you and myself. There are already so many obstacles to just casting your vote, especially for veterans with disabilities. Folks who serve in the military have more health issues than other Americans. And I'm not just talking about the older generations. There are 4 million post 9/11 veterans like me, and 40% of us have a service-connected disability. A lot of us can't drive, can't physically stand in line, or just can't go to a crowded poll place because of PTSD. Now, instead of making it easier to vote, corrupt politicians in 48 states have introduced bills making it harder for us to exercise the freedoms we risked our lives to defend. Here in West Virginia, they ended automatic voter registration. They reduced early voting days. They made it harder to vote by mail. Now, there is a legislative solution to this attack on democracy, and it's called For the People Act. This bill will protect our freedom to vote, ensure the integrity of our elections, and make it so billionaires and big corporations can't buy our elections. Both our senators, Shelley Moore Capito and Senator Joe Manchin state they won't support For the People Act. And even if Senator Manchin did, he won't pass it. He supports the Jim Crow era filibuster. As a veteran, I'm sick of do-nothing politicians who pat us on the back when we serve our country, but won't invest in our communities when we come back home. The same people who talk big about patriotism and the founding fathers sit idly by while most of our sacred values are spit on and stomped into the ground. When I joined the Marines, I swore an oath to defend American democracy. Our senators swore a similar oath. So today, I'm standing with you all, my fellow West Virginians, the Poor People's Campaign, and all my veterans of common defense here and across the nation. And I'm asking, no, we're demanding Senator Capito, Senator Manchin, live up to their oaths as I continue to live up mine. Help your people and represent your state.
Yes, sir. Mountaineers, can I hear you? Always free.
All right, everybody, ain't got much time. My name is Major Retired Richard Ojeda, and I'm the national spokesman for No Dim Left Behind. But we're not talking about Dems today because right now we see bipartisanship right here.
That's right.
There are Republicans, they're independent, they're Democrats. We're all together for one reason. You know what? In terms of leaving things behind, we can't leave poor people behind. We can't leave unions behind. We cannot leave our elderly behind. We cannot leave the LGBTQ community behind. We cannot leave nurses and teachers and coal miners behind. When we send people to Washington, D.C., and we send people to our state house, they got one job. One job. And that's to represent. Your job is not to go to Washington, D.C. and rub shoulders with the bigwigs. Your job is not to go to Washington, D.C. and focus on what you want to do. Your job is to focus on what we want to do. And right now, West Virginia has bipartisanship because the Republicans, the Democrats, and the Independents are all for the People Act. I'm sick and tired of watching Joe Manchin, Shelley Moore Capito, Carol Miller, Mooney, and McKinley go to Washington, D.C. and do nothing that we want done. West Virginia is a poor state. West Virginia is a state that struggles greatly. Go forward and bring opportunities back to West Virginia so coal miners can have something other than Walmart when you shut down the mine. It's time for these people to actually do their job and work for us. And if they don't, we fire every freaking one of them. Make no mistake about it. Next election, 2022, everybody votes. If you are a person of color, no matter what, you make sure they do not shut down your voice. If you have to start right now getting to make sure you have the identifications and everything else that they're going to throw at you done so that you can vote, then you get it done. Only together can we make change. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Somebody say, Manchin, get out of the Porsche and vote for the people. We did a study and found out there are 65 million poor and low-wealth people in this country now. 30% of the total electorate. In 15 states like West Virginia, if poor people voted between 1 and 24% around an agenda, they can determine who sits in the White House, the Senate, the legislature, and the governor's office. We have power, and that's what this is all about. It's about trying to block the power of poor and low-wealth people and moral people and their advocates, and we cannot let it happen on our watch. Welcome, Reverend Roberta.
Good evening. I'm the Reverend Roberta Smith, the president of the Charleston Black Ministerial Alliance, Incorporated. The organization is about 51 years old. I am Reverend Roberta Smith from the Charleston Black Ministerial Alliance, Incorporated. I represent an organization that is 51 years old. It's an organization that clergy that minister to the community in the African American context. Senator Manchin is known to us. When he was governor, the alliance, we would go up there once a month. and we would pray for him. We would lay hands on him because we wanted him to succeed. Because at that time we felt that the Lord had great things in store for him. And we prayed for him, and we dared the devil in hell to touch him. We prayed to God to make him successful. We prayed that, that he would go further than being the governor. Because he even talked about being a senator at the time. He may not remember, but I'm sure that when he hears this, that he remember us, because we remember you. Now, our faith that we placed in you when we prayed for you was earnest. I am so disappointed that you are in Washington. You are supposed to be representing us. It shouldn't be no hesitation to vote for these particular bills, the voting rights bill, the infrastructure bill. Why would you want to take food out of our mouths? Why would you deny us the chance to grow equity in our community, to build a legacy for our children? Why would you want to do that? I can't understand. We can't take our prayers back. We don't know who you got with or what kind of black magic that you have entered into. But we are saying this. The people in West Virginia trusted you. And you, Shelley, that's why I'm not calling you senator, because you haven't earned the right for me to call you senator.
Woo!
Because all you do is say no. We didn't send you there to say no. If you like no so much, when it's voting time, we will give you no.
Hey!
Senator Manchin, I don't know if you can see me or hear me. We're not playing with you. We are not playing with you. Just like we put you in, we will put you out. You are there to serve West Virginia and its people. Why would we want to oppose voting rights? Mountain is always free. We wouldn't oppose anything like that.
That's right. That's right.
We wouldn't oppose infrastructure. I mean, you see the damage. Coal mines, gone. Steel mills, gone. The towns are desperate, decrepit, and falling apart because we have no job. And the exporting of our children to other places. We want you to remember this. Because we're going to remember you.
That's right. We're going to remember you. Now, I want the cameras to pan all these people out here. See, because folk they just look at the crowd. Look around. MSNB, show the whole crowd and understand why we down in this big field, but the hundreds and hundreds of people from everywhere. And then I want two people with these tall banners on each side to switch these, so that we call it relieve these sisters. So let four come and four go. Listen, there's a rumor out, he said, I'm not gonna run again, so it don't matter. See, that's why we gotta fight him at the ballot box, but we gotta fight him before the ballot box. And that's why I love what my sister said. I don't know what's wrong with you, but it's time. So how many of you gonna go to DC when we go on the 23rd? Jump on the bus, we'll provide the buses. Now we want Pastor Don Adamy, Rusty Williams, and Kayleen Payne. Please pay attention to our dear sister in front.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. Good afternoon, friends. I'm Reverend Dawn Adamy. I'm one of the many PCUSA, Presbyterian Church USA pastors in Charleston, Kanawha County. Like most followers of Jesus Christ, I don't go looking for a fight. I really don't. But my faith in Christ tells me that when the powerful do not use their power on behalf of the poor and the oppressed, someone must speak.
That's right.
And so I'm thankful that all of you are here raising your voices and giving your bodies to this effort. I don't try to pick partisan fights, so I'm glad that this is a bipartisan, tripartisan, if you will, effort. And I believe in my heart that Joe Manchin knows what is right. He's just too afraid to do it. And so my plea is in following in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, who taught us and commanded us to love God and love our neighbor, that this is how we love our neighbor in 2021. that we get moving and we raise our voices for what is right and what honors the dignity and the grace and the image of God, single West Virginian and every single American. That's what this is about. This is not a partisan fight. This is a human fight.
That's right.
This is a righteous fight.
That's right.
And we cannot shy away.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Love requires us to speak truth and to stand for justice. Thank you for reminding us, Pastor. And that's what we have to do. It would be wrong of us to let this senator continue. Well, what's Shalley? I won't say Senator Shalley. Do what he's doing without us challenging him. Rusty Williams, and then Kayleen Payne.
How's it going, everyone?
Speak right into that mic.
Thank you all for coming out here today. It's burning up, and this is awesome.
Yep.
This is beautiful. This is what democracy looks like. My name is Rusty Williams, and I'm a lifelong West Virginian. And after I was forced to face a life-threatening illness with no insurance, no access to resources to pay for the emergency surgery they said I needed, I learned really quickly what people in this country with no resources have to go through. All because I made the mistake of getting sick in the most economically depressed state in the richest country in the history of the world. In the time I've spent advocating for patients, I've met with people from all walks of life and from all socioeconomic backgrounds. And just to touch on what's already been said so many times today, West Virginians are united. There's not as much of a disconnect as the media and as folks in power would like you to believe. When it comes to infrastructure, Republicans and Democrats, independents and Mountain Party cats are all driving on the same garbage roads. When it comes to a living wage, COVID showed up and, I'm sorry, is that better? COVID showed up and put a spotlight on all of the inadequacies of the status quo. And we can't go back. We cannot allow our lawmakers to take us back to the same struggling and the same suffering that West Virginians have endured for generations. We are at a crossroads right now. Coming out of COVID, we can go one of two ways. And Senator Manchin, you are at the forefront. You're leading. You're leading in this decision. One way, we're going to protect our democracy. One way will lead you down the path to protecting our democracy to make sure every single American has the right to have their voices heard at the polls. And the other way upholds Jim Crow era laws. The exact, the way that we should have been fighting tooth and nail against. Now, I cannot believe we're standing here in 2021, united, essentially begging Senator Manchin to do the right thing and strengthen our democracy. Today is Flag Day, and I wanted to print this out so I didn't get it wrong. But on Senator Manchin's social media, he's quoted as saying, "Our flag is a sacred symbol of the freedoms we all enjoy and has flown as a shining beacon of hope and democracy for more than 240 years. Today and every day we celebrate our flag and honor our brave service members who defend it every day." That's a nice post. When you're scrolling through social media, myself, I was like, it's a nice post. And then you start thinking that words without works are meaningless.
That's right.
Words without words, they're just hollow. Absolutely hollow. And we are asking you today, Senator Manchin, to stand behind that. If you truly...
That's right.
We're demanding. Thank you, Gene. We are demanding that you stand for the freedoms that flag is supposed to represent, and not just a piece of cloth in the air. It's cool. You want to stand up and speak in support of the flag. Great. But how about you stand up and fight for the people of this democracy? Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody say demand that you fight for what's right. And listen, they want us to call it too. I want to do one thing, Jim Crow. Because that's a trick too. They want us just to think this is just about black and white. It's James Crow Esquire. It ain't Jim Crow, y'all. Because the laws will block poor folk that are white. It'll block disabled people and women. Now, race is in it. Don't make no mistake now. But you got to understand, race is used as a cover to go after the rest of y'all. You hear what I'm saying? And so we got to be clear If you support voter suppression, then you support people getting elected who are not going to fight for living wages. 66 million of the 140 million poor and low-wealth people in this country are white. 26 million of the 140 million poor and low-wealth people are black. That's 61% of black people, but 30% of white people, but it's 40 million more white people. And what they don't want us to do is do what Dr. King figured out. Dr. King said that if black and white, poor and low-wealth people would organize, they could fundamentally change the economic structures of this nation. That's why they want us to be separated in this fight. But how many of you would say, we're not going to separate? Somebody shout, forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Kaylin Payne, and then Pastor Reverend Matthew Watts. Hey, Kaylin.
West Virginia is one of the poorest and sickest states in the entire country. Before COVID, over 40% of West Virginians lived in poverty. The situation in this state is critical. West Virginians are literally starving and dying. Meanwhile, every single member of our congressional delegation is a member of the millionaire class.
Wow.
So, of course, Manchin is against campaign finance reform. We see what side you're on, Manchin. Now, I don't know about you, but I am sick of begging for breadcrumbs from people who do not care if we live or die. I am sick of begging for basic necessities like clean water and adequate sewage systems. I'm tired of hearing these people tell us to just pull yourselves up by the bootstraps when these good old boys done stole our damn boots and cut our benefits for having them in the first place. I thought going to college was going to make my life better. But here I am with a fancy $100,000 master's degree, rolling pennies to put gas in my car.
Wow.
Forget saving pennies for a vacation. People cannot even survive in West Virginia, let alone thrive. There's no opportunity here. My wife and I fight like hell every single day to make sure that my son, a 10th generation West Virginian, does not have to live in a world full of payment plans and shut-off notices and reconnect fees. I want him to grow up in a world where he doesn't have to roll pennies to go to the gas station to fill up his car. It seems like every time that we take one step forward, the system pushes us 10 steps back. And now they want to rip away what little bit of lifeline we have here?
No.
That's just inhumane. Something has got to give. We are hurting, and it's been going on in West Virginia for generations.
That's right.
It's generational in West Virginia. The way out is hard to find here. It's time for Congress to stop complaining about our poverty in their ivory towers and get off their butts and do something about it.
I love it. Give it up for Kayleen. Now we want to take care of everybody. Do you have water? Y'all start passing that water out. Now I've got to make a decision. Y'all want to be mad at me, but I don't think you're going to be mad. We got to march at 6 o'clock. I've got 6 speakers, and we got a ways to march. I'm going to need each one of your speakers. Anything you've heard, you don't have to repeat it. Bring your best 1 minute. And then when we get to Manchin's office, we will speak to the media that's there. We've got to march at 6 o'clock due to the permits. It's hot. We want to take care of everybody. Now, if you love the movement, you'll be okay. If you just love the mic, you're going to be mad, and we'll pray for you. We'll lay hands on you. All right? All right. Give us your best.
Good afternoon, everybody. Americans are at a critical crossroad. The question is, which way are we going to take? Which path? A path of division, a path of marginalization of black people, brown people, poor white people, disabled people? Are we going to take a pathway of justice?
That's it.
What I would say to Senator Joe Manchin, and I'm a friend of Joe Manchin. I voted for him every time his name has been on the ballot since 1992. Support him in every election. What I would say to Joe Manchin is that we have put you in Washington. We believe that you have great potential, and that's why we sent you there. But I would encourage you to look to the book that you love so dearly, the Bible, and revisit the book of Esther. And take a look at that story of how this slave girl was elevated to be the queen in the most powerful nation in the world. And when her people came under assault, she was tempted to be silent. But her godly uncle said to her, "Who can tell as to whether or not God has put you in this place for such a time as this?" As I close, what I've said to Senator Manchin, God has elevated you to put you in this place for such a time as this, to save this nation and to save this democracy. So rise up and be the regal man of courage you have the potential to be, and vote for the We the People Act. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pastor David Bryson, Martise Washington, come on at this time. Come on at this time. I got it. Who is that?
West Virginia welcomes Reverend Dr. Barber. Can you say amen? Where is almost heaven? Where is almost heaven? West Virginia is almost heaven, but it's almost heaven not because of the prodigious mountains that we have. West Virginia is almost heaven not because of the waterways, the majestic Canal River, the Monongalia River, the Ohio River, which West Virginia owns. The reason that we are almost heaven in West Virginia is because West Virginians stand for one another. And the way that we're going to stand for one another right now, black and white, Jew and Gentile, is by telling Joe Manchin that we believe in We the People Act. It's so very important to understand. We need the nation to know that there is a counter narrative. I hear over and over again that Manchin is in no peril because there are no African Americans here. Well, I'd like to tell you, first of all, that Joe Manchin won his last election by the exact percentage of the amount of African Americans in this state. But even greater than that, we stand together in West Virginia, black and white. Can you say amen? And so we are here today to tell the good senator that it's time for him to stand up. People say that he needs to be a Republican. No, he needs to be a Democrat because we voted for him to be a Democrat, and he needs to stand up. He needs to stand up. Why? Because West Virginia is where? Almost West Virginia. Almost heaven. Almost heaven is where? Almost heaven is where?
And it would be a terrible thing to make heaven hell. And it's hell when folk can't vote. It's hell when people don't have living wages. It's a form of hell when you die because you don't have health care. Do you know 750 people die every day from poverty and low wealth? Before we even talk about COVID, just from poverty and low wealth. At this time, Martise, where are you? Come on, my brother.
Hey, y'all, sometimes I don't know what to say, so what I do is I pray. So sometimes I don't know what to do and I only got a minute, so what I do is pray. So bow your head and close your eyes and pray with me, all right? Hey, God, it's me again. I'm down here in West Virginia where I live in Charleston in the poorest community in one of the nicest states that there is. And my senator has left me behind. All of the people that we have left me behind. And I just hope that you can remind them that West Virginia is a state because slaves wanted to be free. Right. Because we wanted to be different. Because we decided that we were going to part from Virginia and be different. We weren't going to be the same as everybody else. We weren't worried about being bipartisan or doing any of that stuff. We weren't worried about a filibuster. We weren't worried about what everybody on the left was doing or on the right. We wanted to do what West Virginia wanted to do, Lord. So, God, if you could just remind Senator Manchin that his communities, the people that voted for him, we're being left behind. Our homes are crumbling. People are dying. People's pockets are empty. People's hope is deflated. Yes. All we have is prayer, love, and the love's not coming from the people that we elected, Lord. So I don't know what to do anymore but pray. And I'm hoping that you change his heart and change his mind And don't ever let him come in my community again in a car that costs that much money. Because if you can come down here for a health right that's serving people, then you can come out here and serve the people.
That's right.
Stop leaving us behind.
Stop.
God, open his mind, clear his heart, and renew his spirit. Lord, be with us as we walk and keep me together, Lord. In Jesus Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen. Martise, before you go, brother, I want to say something. Come into prayer. You know what Rabbi Heschel said when Dr. King invited people to Selma? And I want you to know, they didn't have 25,000 people the first march. It looked kind of like this. So let's be clear now, because, you know, the media will say something. They had about less than this many people who went across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But Rabbi Heschel said to Dr. King, I've come to Selma to put legs on my prayers. Would y'all tell Martise, we gonna put some legs on your prayers? And lastly, I want y'all to hear this brother's history. West Virginia became West Virginia so that you wouldn't act like the other southern states. At this time, we bring up Rihanna Epton from MoveOn.org. And they're going to help us mobilize. I need a battery in this mic. They're going to help us mobilize in D.C. Come on, my sister.
Hello. Good evening, West Virginia. I'm humbled to be here. I drove out from Maryland. No, I'm not from West Virginia, but after today, I sure wish I was. I came here to represent the over 10 million Move On members that have your back today and every day. It is incredibly clear that West Virginia is now the new ground zero for the democracy of this country. With the faith and the energy and the love and the passion for your state and for this country that I've heard here today, just in this short hour, I am convinced that if we don't let up, we can move Joe Manchin. We can end the filibuster. We can pass the For the People Act. You know, when he wrote that op-ed a couple weeks ago, people got really bummed out. Said, maybe it's over. And I said, hell no, now's the time to elevate it, to go all the way. The fight is just beginning.
That's right.
One thing I do in my job, I talk about politics all the time. Everyone knows if you're on the Move On member email list, we talk politics all day, every day. We talk Republicans, Democrats, but I want to say this issue, everything we've talked about here today, from $15 minimum wage to health care for all, for voting rights, the democracy that works for all of us, it is not political. It is not a political debate. It is a moral one. It does not matter if you live in a red state or a blue state or if you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. We all deserve a right to vote, to have our votes counted, to have our votes matter. It doesn't matter. We all deserve to earn a living wage, to put a roof over our heads and feed our families. It doesn't matter if we're Democrat or Republican. You get the point. I won't go on. But my point is, we are not asking Joe Manchin to make a political decision.
That's right. That's right.
We are asking him to make a moral one. We are calling on Joe Manchin not just as a Democrat, not just as a West Virginian, but as an American, as a patriot, as a human being, like every single one of us. That's right. We are at a crossroads, and we need to keep pushing him and moving him, and I'm ready to march with you all. And the 10 million Move On members and the 90,000 West Virginia Move On members are with you today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We got 2 more speakers. We're going to make it. Now, listen, let me ask you a question. What's the first principle of the Constitution that we're supposed to commit to? The establishment of what?
Justice.
And only then can you have the ensuring of domestic what?
Tranquility.
But then you have to provide for the what? And promote the general welfare. When you look at his positions, he has failed on all 4 points. This is a moral issue. It's a constitutional issue. And we might have to go in his office and sit down and just stay there and let some folk come move us if they feel like moving. How many of you all might want to do a sit-in? We got a call-in going on. Yeah, because we're not playing, y'all. Now, they said they got 10 million folk with you. Can y'all help us get the other 700,000 poor and low wealth West Virginians? And now we got 2 more speakers. The next one is a powerful #1 leading voting rights lawyer in the country. She knows the law. She understands what's going on. She's a battler. And she is from the Transformative Justice Network. She said, I'm with West Virginia. I'd want to come down and be here. That's none other than attorney Barbara Arwine. Come on, Barbara. Come on.
Hey, West Virginia. Hey, we are here today because your senator is holding the whole nation hostage. All over the country, they are assaulting the right to vote. And when you think of it as a lawyer where I sit, and when I read his op-ed, I was shocked because it was so bad. And what really struck me was he talked about bipartisanship. Have you read the Constitution? Where does it say bipartisanship? As a top principle, if you read the Constitution, where does it say filibuster?
That's it.
Where does it even talk about it? But I'll tell you what it does say. We the people.
That's right.
We the people. All power is in the hands of the people. And this senator is not only is he not representing West Virginia, he is not representing the entire nation that's under assault. I mean, they're telling people they're going to put them in jail if they give people water and food while they stand in line for 3 and 5 hours. They're telling people that they're going to cut early voting, purge the voting lists, that they're going to do everything they can to block and steal and destroy the vote. Well, we're not going to have that. Not now, not ever. We say to Senator Joe Manchin as we get ready to march, we say to him, we're going to be yelling, free the vote, free the vote, free the vote, free the vote, free the vote. I want to vote. Free the vote. And I want to thank Daryl Jones, who is the, come on, Daryl. Daryl is the president of the board of the Transformative Justice Coalition. He's also a lawyer. And that was his saying, free the vote.
All right. Somebody cut my mic off by accident. I'll use this one. Now, they do, hey, Mark Thompson, they do not want us to connect voting rights to blocking living wages, to blocking infrastructure, to blocking health. See, they want us to fight in silos. But America has never moved forward without fusion coalitions. That's what it took in the first Reconstruction. That's what it's going to take in the second Reconstruction. And that's what it's going to take in the third Reconstruction. I had folk tell me, you ain't going to get no black and white folk to come together in West Virginia. They just foolish. They don't even know who we are. Now, I've got one person as we get ready to march. I want the hip-hop artists to go on the stage. They're going to do this hip-hop thing as we march. Liz, our co-chair, she said, I don't have to speak. I'm ready to march. But she's going to lead us out, help us get our directions. And I'm telling you, before I will let a state arrest people for drinking water in line, I'll go to jail. Before I will let people deny my mountain brothers and sisters who've lost so much, to then deny you the right to vote, I will sit down in that office fully robed in my clerical garb and say, arrest me. Because some things you can't stand. And I hope there are some preachers and some other folk that will do just like Jesus or do just like Moses and engage in non-violent direct action if he doesn't change. He's got to know, they all have to know, you cannot get away with this. You just cannot. Now, let me tell you, this is a solemn thing. This sister asked, could she say just a word? She had 2 sons. She's going to tell you about them. And one of them committed suicide because of the foolish public policy that we got in America. Marcia Westbrook, it's hard for her to do this, but I hope you all will support her. That's why she's marching today. Come on, give it up.
name's Marsha Milam Westbrook, and I'm from Williamstown, West Virginia. I was a single mother with 3 sons, and my oldest 2 sons tried college for a little bit, but it wasn't really their thing. So they decided to enlist. My oldest one in the Air Force, and the middle one in the Navy. My youngest son graduated from high school in 2002. He was in the first class to receive the Promise Scholarship in West Virginia. And he went to WVU and earned a bachelor's of arts in sports management in exactly 8 semesters and maintained his GPA at an 8.7 his entire time at WVU. After getting out of school, he couldn't find a job. And a year and a half later, his student loans were coming due, because you still do have some student loans for your living expenses and stuff. So he begged his way into the Army on a medical waiver because he had psoriasis. My son was an overachiever. He went from going in with already had a degree with honors. He came out as a specialist. He went to jump school, artillery school in Iraq, came back, was bored, and tried out for SF and was in the top 4 of the selection group. He was the honored graduate in his section, Bravo, when he graduated. 5 years later, after multiple deployments, my son completed suicide as an active duty Green Beret at his home in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where he was stationed at Fort Carson. This is a different perspective on why we need jobs in our state. We need to keep our bright young people here. We don't need them to have to go to the military. We need them to stay here. We need jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha.
Sorry.
All right. Did y'all hear that? That's why we march. Pete, this is about life and death. It's not about partisan and bipartisan. It's about living and dying. Now, I want you to listen to Reverend Liz Theo Harris and Brother Clinton Wright. Now, I have, I used to couldn't walk. They said I'd never walk again, but they didn't talk to God. But I do limp. And so I need somebody that'll let me borrow their legs over to the place. And we're going to want all of this. They'll tell you what we're going to do with the banner. And then once we get lined up, this powerful hip-hop team from Kentucky is going to give us one song their own way as we're lining up. I wish we could do more, but I'm watching. I'm a pastor, and I see how hot folk get, and all of us ain't young as we used to be, and we don't want nobody falling out. We want folk to march. Amen? So make sure you get some water on the way, but listen to this team so they can keep you safe. Somebody say, forward together. Forward together. Get out of the Porsche. Senator Manchin. Pass the bill. Voting Rights Act. Pass the bill. For the People Act. Pass the bill. Living wages. Pass the bill. Infrastructure. Pass the bill. You will face us every day, every hour. We will fight for this democracy until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on the ice. Mountaineers, let me hear you. Always free.
You are a powerful group. You are a powerful and beautiful group of people who are leading this nation to do the right thing. We have heard a clarion call coming out of West Virginia today. It is clear that there is no scarcity, that this democracy is worth fighting for, and that it's always when the people rise up that we can make a change. West Virginia, are you hot? Are you hot? Are you ready to turn up the heat on Senator Manchin? Are you ready to turn up the heat on Senator Manchin? And are you ready to march for a moral march on Manchin? Say with me now, forward together.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back.
All right, so this is how it's going to go. We are going to march.
I was told to come let you know that I'm going to cooperate because my name's Liberty.
All right, we have Liberty here. Are you here?
Florida originally, but I grew up here.
Grew up here and is also connected to Florida because we got the whole country connected here. Who has offered to be the feet, the legs of Reverend Barber. And we know that not everybody here is going to be able to march, and so we have buses that you can come in and be a part of the march. But we're going to line up 2 by 2. We're going to ask the folks that were speaking, that were testifying, to help lead that march. And I'm going to turn it over to Clinton to give us a little more examples.
All right, Patrice and Jen, will you wave your hands? If you were a speaker on the program or you are clergy, if you'll go stand next to Jen and Patrice right now, please, and get lined up 2 by 2. Everybody else, with your flag, with your placards, find a partner, and we're going to make a long line back this way. Keep moving back 2 by 2. The quicker you get in 2 by 2, like we're going to the Ark, the faster this march will go. 2 by 2, 2 by 2, and the performers are going to perform while we're getting in line. 2 by 2, line up. Go.
Hello.
No. Line up.
Young people gather by the tree.
This song is called Red Line.
Gather by the tree.
Can you hear me, Christy?
10 feet apart, y'all. 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 10 feet apart.
My dollars reduced to dimes. They segregated our people, yeah. Poverty leads to crime. Red line. My dollars reduced to dimes. They segregated our people, yeah. Poverty leads to crime. If you look and you want a new house, your loan denied. If you look and you want a new house, there's a plan to survive. Yeah, it could be coming on factor. Have it, have it not. I said it's a plot. They do anything for power. 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 Opportunity and hope leads to tragedy. Teach a man to fish, he gon' eat on that forever. Pacify his skills, he will always be indebted. Limit all his choices and back him in a corner. Black spraying pan, crash it down, now you a goner. They kill our people, but they say we a killer. They got more moves than Michael Jackson Thriller. One thing I know is something gotta change, or else one day I'ma go gorilla. They do anything for power. They do anything for power. They do anything for power. Some people say focus your red. Some people say watch your mouth. We know that those people aren't meant when we speak. Let's get the ground. Red line. Like I was reduced to knives. They segregate our people. Yeah.
very much. So now, this is called 2020. And this is Lionheart of the Boys Academy. Yeah.
Out of the way. What do we want? What do we want them? Now. What do we want? What do we want them? Now. What do we want?
I'll see you at the thing.
We can walk in track. Okay. So that we don't lose a place.
Modern day slavery, it's just bringing, it's just me. Everybody, are you getting what we mean? Yeah, this thing, L-O-U, doing it to you in your eardrum. And we out. Let's march. George, are you gonna ride the bus?
No, I'm walking.
Okay, open on the banner.
I can't hold that on.
Go, George, go! How are you doing? Oh! Oh, my God! I'll see you down there. Yes. 2020. Now 21. It ain't no fun in 21 because Manchin needs to be kicked out of the mansion. Let's play on some words right now. That's from Kentucky. We stand united with West Virginia. Oh, we get McConnell and Manchin up out of there. We're not going to give them a chance to die in the office. That's what they try to do. They need to get their old ass somewhere in a rocking chair.
I started coming out to Manchin just about 3 months ago, and there was 15 people.
got to have it. All right, 10 feet. Laura, let them get across and then you stop and help them go 10 feet. Okay, let's let them go across. When y'all get across, spread out 10 feet. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all keep it 10 feet apart. 10 feet. 10 feet. Thank you. 10 feet. 10 feet. When you get on the sidewalk, spread it out 10 feet apart. 10 feet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Give it 10 feet. When you get across, spread out 10 feet. Okay?
Now! Justice! Now! People that turn around, I'm mad. Justice! People that turn around, I'm mad. Justice! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Justice! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Justice! When do we want it? Now! God bless you, Reverend.
Voting rights! Now! Voting rights! Justice!
When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
I'm pulled over.
What do we want? What do we want them? What do we want? What do we want them? What do we want? Health care. What do we want it? Now. What do we want? Health care. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Health care. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. Now. What do we want? Voting rights. Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. This is what democracy looks like. Yeah. This is what democracy looks like. 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 Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. Can't hear you. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Any of them in those Tell me what this is what democracy looks like. I can't hear you.
No, turn in here.
When do we want it?
Now. Yeah.
What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. Voting rights. Now. Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? What do we want? When do we want them? What do we want? When do we want them? What do we want? When do we want them? What do we want? Voting rights. Now. Voting rights. Now. Voting rights. Now. Voting rights. Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want?
Voters' rights.
When do we want them?
Now.
We, the people, united, will never be defeated. 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 United, the people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated. Forward together! Forward together! Not one step back! 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 Forward Forward together, not one step back. Forward together, not one step back. Forward together, not one step back.
I'm good, y'all. I'm good. Thanks for asking.